our chicken dinner.
I know. I was going to walk into the studio this morning and slow clap. I was straight up listening to Annie, the musical, on my commute this morning.
And we're just sweeping away because it was a clean sweep last night.
No hard knock life here. Actually, no, that is actually why we had a lot of wins, is that people were effectively able to communicate about said
Absolutely
hard knock life.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about. Luckily, lots of good news to share. And I think we want to spend most of today's episode really diving into what the election this week means for the party, the country, the future, the midterms.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. I have to just say off the bat, it was so nice last night to lay my head on that pillow and think, holy shit, we won.
Totally. So let's get into what happened. First, polls closed at 7 p.m. in Virginia, and we knew that we were cooking with gas within minutes. We were like, oh, these numbers are good. In Virginia, we had the gubernatorial race, Abigail Spanberger, who won by over 15 points.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened
since 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Like, huge margin. And also overperformed dramatically what the polling showed, what we expected at Oath, and brought the House of Delegates along with her. We had really strong candidates in the legislative races that were up there as well. And we picked up somewhere between 11 and 13 seats. A few of them haven't been called as of recording, but huge. We'll have our biggest margin in the House of Delegates in decades.
What does that mean for the state of Virginia?
It means that, number one, we can pass great legislation in the state around reproductive rights. Virginia is the only state in the South that doesn't have an abortion ban. And we can protect LGBT kids in schools, which Republicans have made a priority of trying to attack and undermine. And it means we can redistrict Virginia or continue down the path to redistricting Virginia, which could help us pick up 3 additional seats in this battle against Trump stealing the midterms. And that's a really big deal because Virginia is one of the only places where Democrats have a clear path to do that. Immediately after the gubernatorial race got called, the AG and lieutenant governor races also got called.
Yes.
We didn't go super deep on the Jay Jones scandal on previous episodes, but there was this whole drama around the Attorney General of Virginia. He had sent text messages to a colleague at the time, I think a fellow legislator who was a Republican, and said if he had 2 bullets in a gun and Hitler, Pol Pot, and the Republican majority leader was getting 2 in the head.
What a crazy text message to send.
Yeah, right. It caused a really big scandal. Republicans basically stopped spending on the governor's race and poured all their money just into the attorney general race.
Because they're like, we got this.
Yeah, they were like, we got him. And he won over 50%.
Well, I think we'll talk about this, ad nauseum going into 26, which is what makes a good Dem candidate. Is a flawed candidate okay?
Ooh, well, let's talk about it. After Virginia, we started getting returns in Georgia, which we flipped 2 public service commission seats, statewide races in Georgia by huge margins.
Yeah.
Way overperformed, like 20 points overperformed what we expected in those races, which is amazing.
People are thinking about their utility bills. People are thinking about their cost of living.
We won both seats in Georgia with over 60% of the vote.
That's really interesting.
Over 20-point margins in both races. That's pretty incredible. And then from that point, the night just really started to accelerate. We got New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill elected governor, my former boss. I've made no secret of that.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for her. We picked up seats in the New Jersey legislature. Then we got news on Mamdani.
Yeah.
Then we got news on California.
Right. That
Maine
was,
ballot measures.
Yeah.
It went on and on. Where do you feel like you're seeing the most interest online of like where people are most energized by the wins?
I mean, New York is very much my For You page. Both energize in a positive sense, and then I'm seeing a full-blown meltdown happening online as well in New York with the elites.
Yeah, the meltdown started within minutes on Fox News, Newsmax. I posted about Mamdani in the morning because I obviously voted for him, and then got into some back and forths with friends and acquaintances online who felt differently. Obviously, the majority of New Yorkers agreed. He got over 1 million votes.
Yeah.
And they're still counting right now, but he's expected to land over 50% in a 3-way race.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. And I think reflects on the level of reach and engagement that his campaign was able to achieve.
No candidate has, I think in the advent of digital media as a messaging vertical, accomplished what Zohran Mamdani's campaign has accomplished. They had the trifecta of charismatic digital native principle. They built an extremely large platform for distribution. His message discipline was excellent. No matter what piece of content landed on your For You page, you knew that he was running on the affordability crisis in the city of New York, period. The volume game that he played in the last 2 weeks leading up to the election, he was everywhere. There's no denying that was effective.
Absolutely. I just pulled up the numbers. This is from Rachel Janfanza, who writes for The Up and Up, her Substack. Young women went 81% for Mamdani, 80% for Cheryl, 78% for Spanberger. We're talking like 60 plus point margins. That's huge. A lot of people are noting that Mamdani in particular also did incredibly well with young men. The other major demographic-based story of the night for me has been around Latino voters.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Republicans made some big assumptions, especially in the Texas redistricting decisions, that Latinos had shifted away from Democrats and we're going to stick with them like they did with Trump in 24. And so far that seems like it could have been a huge mistake.
Right.
2 heavily Latino counties in New Jersey that Trump won in 2024 swung back. Mikey Sherrill flipped Passaic and Cumberland and improved upon Harris's margin in Hudson County by double digits, which is amazing.
Well, turns out ripping families apart is not a good strategy, nor is damaging our economy, period.
Right.
So I'm not surprised. I'm really glad to see it, but I'm not surprised.
For me, the big story here is that the bill has come due, that Trump has been up to all this nonsense all year long, and people finally got a chance to weigh in, and everywhere they possibly could, they pushed back and rejected everything that Trump and Republicans have been up to all year. They also, I think, sent a clear message that they want something different from Democrats, not necessarily in an ideological sense, but generationally.
Yeah.
That people were excited to go vote for these younger candidates, Spanberger, Sherrill, and Mamdani, all included. They all posted big margins. And to me, that's saying that there actually is space, that it's not a conflict between Mamdani and Sherrill, who are now governing places just a couple miles apart. But it's actually there's space for both. And even if people don't see eye to eye on every single issue, we actually can build a coalition that includes people who have really diverse views on a range of issues, and that they are still united as Democrats on these common values and who they're trying to represent in office.
Completely agree. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, which is that the Democratic Party is not a monolith, and the candidates will not be a monolith in what they in their policy platforms. I think it's really exciting. I think, did you watch Mamdani's acceptance speech?
No.
He said something that I pulled out. where he said New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. And he continued and he said, so hear me, President Trump, when I say this, to get to any of us, you'll have to get through all of us. And I felt like that was a very solid unifying message to all New Yorkers. I think that most New Yorkers feel that way when it comes to President Trump, whether or not they voted for Cuomo or Sliwa or whatever. And I think now Mamdani will have to step into this leadership position against President Trump. I do think this will now be, or Trump will try and make New York City a playground of sorts. And he's going to, as per Mayor-elect Mamdani, come through all of us.
Republicans are already trying to tie Democrats everywhere to Mamdani, thinking that that's going to weigh him or weigh them down in the midterms. Do you think that that is going to be an effective strategy for them?
No, because Schumer didn't even endorse Mamdani. They're not going to be able to pigeonhole every Democrat as a Mamdani Democrat or whatever they decide to label his mayoral administration and Democrats. I think that they're going to try really hard. I don't think it'll be an effective strategy. I don't know. What do you think?
If you look at the national numbers right now, Chuck Schumer is less popular than Mamdani.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer is more unpopular than Mamdani. And so it's actually Schumer who could be a more effective foil for Republicans in a lot of races. Partially because Schumer's also unpopular with Democrats, though, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think Mamdani can be a bigger animating force for the base, for Republicans, that they are so triggered by the word socialism, regardless of context,
Right.
that could be a helpful turnout mechanism for them in some races. But I mean, I think they'll have a hard time telling everyone that Marie Gluesenkamp Perez and Jared Golden are socialists.
Right.
Like, that's just not actually rational. And a mayor in New York City, the most liberal city in the country, has very little to do with the agenda of Democrats in the House.
Yeah, I also think if you look at the flip side, like all over my For You page and in conversations, you heard young Democrats or young politically aligned Americans saying, I'm jealous that I don't get to vote for Zohran Mamdani. You said this last week or 2 weeks ago. There's 209 that he's able to fill stadiums, essentially, with young, democratically aligned Americans. And going into 26, 28, he could be an excellent mobilizing force for Democrats. And I think that's something to look out for.
Yeah, I think that's real. We need people who can make the news, not just react to the news. And Mamdani can make news, right? He actually can control the conversation online. He knows how the attention economy works. And that's a powerful and important thing for us to leverage as a party. I do think how he governs will have major implications on how effective his turnout capabilities are and how effective Republicans' weaponizing of him and DSA is generally. If things in New York are going great at this time next year, then I think it's going to be much harder. Whereas whether it's related to his policies directly or not, they're going to do everything they can to make it out to be that New York is a hellscape.
Of course.
And they're really good at it, honestly. Remember the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people who did not live in New York City that I ran into at like weddings or something who were like, the crime in New York. And I'm like, what crime?
Do we need to just put live stream cameras up of like
Riverside Park?
This is the West Village. This is Riverside Park. Here's Herald Square. Just random live streams around the city of like, okay, people are having dinner and eating ice cream.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. I am super excited to see who he brings in for his administration.
Woo! That'll be interesting.
Very interesting. I'm hopeful.
What races did we not talk about. We talked about Georgia. We talked about Virginia. We talked about New Jersey. We talked about
Prop 50. Have we talked about that?
okay, California.
That was 63.8% when I last looked for yes.
Thanks, LA.
Thanks, LA.
Thanks, SF.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We know that
We
a bunch
see
of
you.
listeners are over there. We see you. We hear you. We smell you. Remember?
No. Is that Parks and Rec?
No, that's Katie Britt from the State of the Union Republican rebuttal.
Oh my God.
Really big deal. California shifted. There's this amazing graphic from Cook that shows how all these races moved. So California's first congressional district goes from solid R to solid D. The third goes from likely R to solid D. The ninth goes from lean D to solid D. The 22nd from lean R to toss up. The 27th from lean D to solid D. And I could keep going. It is a really big deal and neutralizes what they did in Texas to try and steal those seats.
Hell yeah.
There's a chance. I don't want to like overhype this for people because they're still doing a bunch of like messy shit. But there's a chance if we really do well in the midterms and overperform with Latinos in Texas specifically, that we can end up picking up seats in Texas, winning all of our seats in California, netting 3 additional seats from Virginia. And then the redistricting war that Trump started,
we win,
could actually net seats for Democrats. If the Supreme Court decision goes against us with the VRA and then the South kind of goes, it would be different. We still could lose like 8. But there is a path. There is a scenario where Trump's shenanigans and assault on democracy ends up benefiting Democrats in the midterms.
This is, it sounds so dramatic, but it's like, this is the first time in a year, but like the election was a year ago today, that I am hopeful and excited.
You're like, this is the first time I've felt joy.
I mean, not actually,
but like not no.
in my realm of work. Yes. I mean, the people who do this work, we have, and like the campaigns that have been stood up, the staff on those campaigns, the candidates, people have worked tirelessly for all of these wins.
Yeah.
And almost immediately after we lost, this work started happening. So it is so refreshing and exciting that there could be a future vision for the Democratic Party and a future vision for this country where Democrats have some sort of legislative power to actually implement the policies that it appears to be we are now effectively communicating and messaging on.
So let's talk about how that becomes a reality.
You sound like a therapist.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like a therapist.
Yeah.
What I want to see after last night and feeling these resounding wins is a nationwide enthusiastic passing of the torch. I want to see Chuck Schumer come out and say, here is X date. I want 30 more members of the Democratic caucus to announce that they are retiring by this date. If you're going to be 70 or older in the next election cycle or in your next term, you need to prove to me why you are absolutely better on the issues of the day, like AI, than any other possible replacement, or you need to retire by January 1.
I would argue on the issues of the day, then also your comm strategy.
Right.
Can you effectively, like Sammy Sage, one of the Betches co-founders, said this recently on her Instagram, and I totally agree. If you are running for political office in our year of the Lord, 2025, 2026, and beyond, and you do not have at least 100,000 followers on a Meta platform, you are behind and you should not be running.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Right. No, I completely agree with that. And I think that comms are part of the job. It's not an extra thing that's nice to have. It is a fundamental part of the job, or else any legislative accomplishments you see get wiped away the minute that you get rocked at the ballot box because nobody knows what you're doing. This idea that we need people in Congress with decades of experience is wrong. It is wrong.
Well,
it's not benefiting us.
Yeah, we just proved that you don't need it to be elected.
Right.
So Ram Mamdani does not have experience. Yes, he's been in the New York State Assembly, which, by the by, no one knows anyone in the New York. Maybe you do, but like I could not tell you who was representing me in the New York State Assembly. Sorry. And you know, I think he used it to his advantage. He didn't have a massive policy track record that people were going to grill him on or say, I'm not voting for you because of X, Y, and Z. It's a blank canvas.
Right.
So I completely agree.
The current climate that we're in benefits outsiders. I've been saying that I feel that the 2028 candidate for us would ideally be someone who's not a current governor or elected, someone who is coming from the outside and can run on change, because that's what people are voting for. Is they want to see change. And the whole Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries class cannot authentically or rationally be the vehicle for change that we're looking to see. They represent the old guard, the old way of doing things, a look into the past, whatever. And it's never going to drive the kind of energy that we saw last night for these candidates running on new ideas, candidates who are younger, who speak the language and can resonate.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi is not running for re-election. Thank God. And I would say she'd be a great person to just put some money behind to run social on why old people should retire. But unfortunately, she's got not a great track record for her stock trading.
I pitched you months ago, I don't remember if you remember, maybe even a year ago, that we should, the royal we, should throw a retirement party for specific members of Congress and be like, thank you so much for your service. This is your announcement. We're informing you that it's time to retire. This is your exit stage left cue. And we have new people who are going to step in and fight the next fight.
So force their hand. So we
100%.
wouldn't do it for Nancy Pelosi, who I have to say I do respect and I have appreciated all of her years of public service. But so people that we want, like we'll throw one for Chuck Schumer.
Exactly. Yes. Do you know how many Democrats are 70 and over who are running for re-election? It is not right. And yes, Nancy Pelosi has served her country admirably and has done all of these great things. And I feel that less and less as time goes on and she stays. I think had she left 6 years ago, she would have left as a legend. Yeah. But I think it's actually very hard to tell me that only Nancy Pelosi could have done what she did in the House when Mike Johnson, who is an absolute nobody, who no one knew the name of before he became leader, has passed votes in the House harder than the votes that Nancy Pelosi corralled for Joe Biden, honestly, with a smaller margin. Yeah. So there are other people who can do it. We need good leaders. But no one can do that while they're standing in Nancy Pelosi's shadow. And we're seeing, in my opinion, the faulty logic of thinking that you can coronate Hakeem Jeffries as like the next one hand selected by her to take her spot. Yeah,
the plane there is not landing. I also just logically, it's like, aren't you tired? Don't you want to retire? Like, it is hard to argue, especially to the younger generation. No one else can do this job.
Right.
The math,
you can't do it. You can't do the job. We're watching you not do the job. You don't know what OpenAI is. You cannot change a Word doc into a PDF. Yeah. You are not set up to figure out what the economy is going to look like in 5 years after AI has had its way. We need people who aren't just getting briefed by staff, but who are in it, who have lived it.
Yeah, it's the lived experience of it all.
Yeah.
If you have not lived the experience of what it's like to live in this economy and pay rent and to go shop at the grocery store and to gawk at your bill and to see how much travel costs and to be terminally online and getting your news there, it's a worldview, it's a lifestyle. I totally agree. Let's do something about it.
Let's do something about it.
Like, you heard it here first, for throwing retirement parties for people who aren't even saying they're retiring. Although I will say the one person I'll have a real difficult time throwing a retirement party for, Senator Ed Markey.
Bye.
But I think
Bye.
surely there's someone in his network that he feels like is young and ready to run.
I don't care if they're in his network.
I know you
I don't
don't.
care if they're in his network. Because that's kind of the issue, right? If that person were great and a great communicator, we would know who they are. We would see them talking about ICE raids. We would see them out here talking about grocery bills and electricity prices and all these things. They would have, if you can do it, you'd be doing it. I really believe that.
Right. It's true. I do think going into 26, established Dems, older Dems need to gird their loins because there's going to be a lot of spicy primaries.
Spicy primaries, especially after last night, especially after Mamdani won. When he won the primary, we saw thousands of new candidates express interest in running for all of these different races up and down the ballot. Now that he has won the general, toppling, as he would say, a political dynasty in Cuomo.
Which is true.
Sure.
There's a bridge.
There's just going to be more enthusiasm and confidence in people who are first-time candidates, who want to take a shot at somebody big. And that is going to create a situation where we have a lot of competitive primaries happening over the next 6 months. So for people who are a little less plugged in, this is actually not the time to check out and be like, see you next November.
No.
The next 6 months are where the most change is really going to happen. And it's the hardest to find those candidates, to know which ones need support, which ones actually are good and have a path to win and that kind of thing. It's tough, but that's where the heavy lifting needs to be done.
While we're super excited, we have some momentum and energy, and I am now very excited to work on the midterms. I can't help but recall all of the horrible things that are happening in this country under Donald Trump, Kanks, as I've had it, ladies call him, and the fact that the government is still shut down.
Yeah. The government is still shut down. There was movement earlier this week towards a solution that was going to reopen the government, and Democrats were looking at breaking and supporting a continuing resolution in exchange for a promise on a vote on ACA subsidies, Obamacare, which is exactly one of the situations that we laid out from the very beginning of the shutdown as to how it could possibly end. And now that looks way less appealing. They're getting a lot more pressure from their colleagues to say, after we overperformed by basically 20 points everywhere last night, how can you now run to Trump and cut a deal without the hardcore leverage and demands that we asked for when this started? So it's a lot less clear than it was 24 hours ago what the next couple of days are going to look like.
Yeah.
Trump is shitting himself, and he's pushing for an end to the filibuster so that Republicans can just do it alone and not have to cut a deal with Dems at all.
I also want to make it abundantly clear, because someone said to me in conversation this past week, oh, well, House Republicans are on recess anyway. They are not on recess. Mike Johnson sent everyone home, and he had them stop working.
Mm-hmm.
We, American taxpayers, are paying for them to do nothing. Do nothing Republicans.
Right.
This is not a recess. They're just straight up not doing their job.
And it's not because the government is shut down, because he doesn't want to swear in Adalita Grijalva, because when she is sworn in, they will have 218 votes to force a vote on the Epstein files release.
Yes.
And
Say that.
He is saying, oh, I can't swear her in until we are in session. And so he's keeping them out of session. This is the longest anyone's ever not been sworn in by already 8 days is the record. So we've already surpassed the record by over 8 days. The average is under 10 days, and we're at like 40. He's doing this to protect pedophiles. We can all make an assumption as to whether or not that includes Trump, but I genuinely don't see another rational
Reason
why you're so terrified of the Epstein files. Who else are you protecting?
Yeah. One, every American, Arizonian specifically, should be appalled.
Yeah.
Appalled. They voted her into office to represent them. And Mike Johnson is saying, no, not yet. Mike Johnson is governing you, Arizonians. It is disgusting.
When we take back the House next year and the time comes to swear all of the new members of Congress in, I believe it's on January 3rd of 2027. I think that we shouldn't swear in any Republicans for the number of days that Adeli Tigrahalva doesn't get sworn in for. And so we can just have
Precedent.
a month, maybe 2 months of Democrat-only Congress. No Republicans in Congress. I love it. It's giving.
Okay, we're going to do a little back and forth clickbait, double click, because we were so in the election weeds. We're now looking at today's news. I have one for you. That's it. Because my New York Times is all like 18 vegetarian casseroles we think you'll love.
And you're like, let's make them all.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one. The Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro torched Tucker Carlson over his interview with far-right Nick Fuentes /Nazi.
We have to double click this because we talked about it last week. Nick Fuentes, after that appearance, I think being the demonic type figure that he is, understood that he was going to have a lot more eyeballs on his YouTube. And he went on a horrific tirade. I won't even repeat the things he said. Wildly anti-Semitic, homophobic, everything in the book, but very, very anti-Semitic and violent. His language was very violent. And the Heritage Foundation said, whoa.
But first, the Heritage Foundation defended Carlson after Carlson hosted Fuentes, platformed him, asked him no questions about his anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, outright promotion for violence against Jews and others. The Heritage Foundation president came out and made a video and was like, Tucker Carlson's a great guy. I think it's totally fine to have Nazis on our TV shows and do whatever we want. And it has exploded within Heritage Foundation. The chief of staff was reassigned to a new role, then resigned. And just this morning, Chris DeMuth, who was a distinguished fellow at the Heritage Foundation, also resigned. So they're having some of their top talent flee because of their defense of Carlson and Fuentes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how exactly Ben Shapiro phrased it, but he wasn't wrong in that basically Tucker Carlson laundered Nick Fuentes's disgusting rhetoric.
Yep.
And it's true. So there's this meltdown happening, and I think it's a warranted meltdown happening amongst MAGA. And I don't think that story's done yet. I think it's going to keep on cooking.
Yeah, it is a unsettled question how to hold people accountable for such disgusting rhetoric. It used to be that news stations and TV broadcasters had a bar that things needed to clear because they could be sued or held liable in some way, and they wanted there to be sort of a minimum standard. As you have people like Tucker Carlson moving from TV to independent media, primarily on social, then it became those platforms that had this bar as to what needed to be nonviolent, needed to be related to the truth on specific things that had implications for democracy, health, whatever. And now those platforms have completely abdicated that role since the return of Trump and said, no, we're not going to block anyone. We're not going to, under the guise of free speech, we are going to actively promote things that cause grave outrage and harm in our algorithms instead. And so then it becomes, okay, well, then it's up to people like Tucker Carlson to be the moral guardians of what information gets shared with young people and kids online. And I can't think of anyone less well suited for that job than somebody like Tucker Carlson, who I believe would sell his own family if it would get him another 1 million followers or dollars.
Period. Okay, I have one that's actually in line with this. Mamdani's mayoral victory divides Jewish New Yorkers.
Double click. I think this is for sure a story to stay. I'm having a bunch of conversations about it in my own friend group, online, with people that I love and respect. I know that some people are really afraid of a surge in anti-Semitism. Some people are directly afraid of what Mamdani's going to do, and I think there's been fear-mongering to promote that. But certainly there's like a lot of concern, and he has to engage with it, and we have to engage with it.
Agree. Okay, so Brian, I have 2 clips for It's Giving. Did you watch the Donald Trump 60 Minutes interview?
No.
I did. It was as unhinged as ever. He was as full of shit as ever. But given the election results, I want to play this clip for you because the lies aren't landing.
Just hit an all-time doing well.
Can I ask you, Mr. President, on that point, though, when the stock market is doing well, that doesn't affect everybody. Not everybody's invested in the stock market.
It does.
But there have been grocery prices are up.
401ks, people 401ks. Their 401ks are double what they were a year ago.
But for people that don't have 401ks or are not invested in the stock market,
but
they've seen their grocery prices go up. Inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down. Other than beef, which we're working on, which we can sell very quickly. By the way, the stock market just hit, perfect timing for your show, just hit an all-time high. We're doing really well.
Can I ask you, Mr. President, on that point, though, when the stock market is doing well, that doesn't affect everybody. Not everybody's invested in the stock market.
It does.
But there have been grocery prices
no, 401ks,
are up.
people have 401ks. Their 401ks are double what they were a year ago.
But for people that don't have 401ks or are not invested in the stock market,
but
they've seen their grocery prices go up. Inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down. Other than beef, which we're working on, which we can sell very quickly.
It's giving Delulu, absolutely delusional. It's giving silver spoon through and through. Someone who has absolute zero connections to the real world. I mean, to think that grocery prices are going down, wild. To not understand that
not everyone has a 401k.
Not everyone has a 401k or even a savings account that can
sustain them past an emergency.
Exactly, right. That someone who loses their job within a couple weeks oftentimes is in financial trouble or ruin. That's a huge chunk of the country right now.
And to add, this aired on Sunday. This is one of the longest government shutdowns in American history, where hundreds of thousands of federal employees are not being paid with no guarantee of back pay. It is so deeply out of touch. And to the lived experience comment we were making about Dem candidates moving forward, I think this is very relevant. One more clip I'm going to show you. If Kash Patel has no haters, I am dead. Kash Patel, you may have seen, went on a date with his girlfriend, and he flew a PJ, which cost American taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars. I will say, if you are the FBI director, you have to fly private, but not on dates. And Kel Surprise, we have some hypocrisy in our midst.
But it is worth also reminding our viewers when it comes to the whole private jet thing that you mentioned, Elise, that in the past, Kash Patel has been pretty critical of someone else's private jet use. Take a listen to this.
Chris Wray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go to vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes off. Just a thought.
Go take their money. Chris Wray doesn't need a private jet.
We're not the guys running around on private jets. And somebody, maybe in Congress, should ask for how many flights
on a private jet Director Comey took, or my predecessor Director Wray took, and how many personal trips they took.
It's giving one finger pointing at you, 4 pointing back at me, right?
Yeah. To clarify, that was a clip from 2023. It's giving pot kettle, except you're both in the scenario.
It's giving SpawnCon. This entire administration is sponsored by Gulfstream. Like, I don't know how many PJs are being purchased, flown around. Like, the whole cabinet is just always on a private jet.
Right. Actually, good point. Who got 2 new private jets?
Kristi Noem.
Oh, that troll. People are hungry. SNAP benefits have not fully been cut. Trump said, we'll give you some. Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think they're even doing that anymore. I think they're now saying they won't give any SNAP benefits out.
So they're going to fly on their private jets while children go hungry.
Yeah, and then Democrats win by 25, right? Like, people are seeing it. That's our good vibe of the week, is all of the things that we talk about every week. Last night, America proved that they're seeing it, they care, and that they're ready to show up to turn the page on the bullshit.
The bullshit. That is a good vibe.
We can't bring you a better vibe than that. Mamdani, Cheryl, Spanberger, Jones, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, Georgia, California, Maine.
Utilities.
We crushed it. And that's going to keep me dancing all week.
Hell yeah.
Guys, we've heard from lots of you on Instagram, and we want to incorporate more of what you have to say into the pod. We are launching a new inbox at hello@vibesonlythepodcast.com. So send us a note. It can be text or it can be a voice memo, and we will gladly run your audio on air. But send us a note. It can be a question, a comment, a story, and we'd love to have you on the pod.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. Vibes Only is a production of Vibes Only the Podcast, LLC, produced by us, Glennis Mahar and
Brian Derrick,
with audio producer Baze Hohen and digital producer Maddie Hart. We want to hear from you. Send us voice notes, drop a comment, and if you're vibing with the pod, share it with your friends. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next week.
See ya.